Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. I hope this isn't the first day of the week that you're joining us, because quite a week. Talking about a topic that I've probably had to answer this question to skeptics and people who are not yet followers of Christ. I probably have answered this as many times as any other question, and that is, how can a good God allow bad things to happen? And especially to good people. And followers of Jesus have somehow times misunderstood and said, well, hey, I'm a follower of Christ. Why is this happening to me? As if that means that nothing bad happens. We do live in the fallen world. We've talked about 3 of the reasons already, because this is a fallen world. Secondly, sometimes it's a testing of our faith. How are we going to do? Are we going to stay faithful through this? And then yesterday we talked about sometimes things happen just to carry out God's plan, basically for the ultimate good, so that he knows what is the ultimate good. Our view is so limited. We don't have infinite knowledge or wisdom, do we? The Lord does. Today we're going to look at 3 of my heroes. I've loved this passage since I've been a Christian, I think, so much, because it's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. I'm not even going to keep you in suspense. And if you know that story, it's just such a great one. It's such a great one. These guys had such unwavering faith. I love it so much. But what they did, and what this 4th point is, it's to sometimes things happen to demonstrate God's power and majesty. Sometimes things happen. Let me repeat it slowly. You can write it down. I hope you're taking notes this week. To demonstrate God's power and majesty. I want to come back to that, and we will in just a moment. So they lived in the time of King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. And Nebuchadnezzar had said, I just was reading it again. I was shocked at how big. He made an image of gold 90 feet high and 9 feet wide of himself. And the word went out that whenever you hear the bells ring, you've got to bow down and worship this statue of gold. Well, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, verse 15, when you hear it, if you're ready to fall down and worship the image, but if you do not worship this image, then you'll be thrown into the fiery blazing furnace immediately. And then what God will be able to rescue you from my hand, he says. Oh my goodness. So verse 17 says, if we are thrown into the blazing fire, because they're answering Nebuchadnezzar, our God is able to save us, and he will rescue us from your hand. Because he's either going to rescue them, they're still alive, or they won't rescue them and they'll be in heaven with him and everything will be fine anyway. That's a great faith, is it not? Verse 18, but even if he does not, we want you to know, O king, that we will not serve your gods or worship the image of gold that you have set up. We're not doing it. Go ahead and throw us into the fire. You know what happens, don't you? They make the furnace 7 times hotter than normal. And they throw them in there and nothing happens. Verse 24. Because King Nebuchadnezzar, he admired that faith. He didn't believe it at all, but he admired it. And then he says, verse 24, King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement. He had looked in the furnace and asked his advisors, weren't there just 3 men tied up and thrown into the fire? And they replied, certainly, King. And then he said, look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed. And the 4th looks like the Son of the gods. He actually was the Son of God, the pre-incarnate Christ, who was right in there with them in the fire. Nebuchadnezzar didn't know it was Christ, but he was there with them. And you know what? That's just like the Lord. He's with us wherever we are. And he spares us according to his will. It's an amazing story. I love it so much. We're going to end with another in the fire. It's called Listen to All the Words, because this is the application of this to demonstrate God's power and majesty. It mentions the fire, this story, but it goes on to tell us how this fact impacts our day-to-day life. Jesus is always with us in whatever fire you and I are in. Listen to the song and I'll see you tomorrow.
There's a grace when the heart is under fire, another way when the walls are closing in. And when I look at the space between where I used to be and this reckoning, I know I will never be alone. There was another in the fire, standing next to me. There was another in the waters, holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding what power set me free, there is a cross that bears the burden, where another died for me. There is another in the fire. Oh, my dead left for dead beneath the water. I'm no longer a slave to my sin anymore. And should I fall in the space between what remains of me and this reckoning, either way I will bow to the things of this world. And I know I will never be alone. There is another in the fire, standing next to me. There is another in the waters, holding back the seas. And should I ever need reminding what power set me free, there is a grief that holds nobody. Loving power lives in me. I can see the light in the darkness as the darkness bows to him. I can hear the roar in the heavens as the space between wasteland. I can feel the ground shake beneath us as the prison walls cave in. And nothing stands between us, and nothing stands between us. There is no other name but the name that is Jesus. He who was and still is and will be through it all. So come on, May, in the space